The first time Vanessa Bennett looked at me with that cold, piercing glare, I felt as though I had stepped into a wind tunnel and the chill had gone straight to my bones. "You're nothing more than a distraction," she said, her voice smooth but cutting, a gold digger playing the long game. "And trust me, Emily, once I'm done, Lucas will see right through you." I gripped my mug so tightly that my knuckles turned white, the ceramic pressing into my palms. I wanted to reply, to defend myself, to scream that I wasn't what she thought, but I stayed quiet. I had convinced myself that politeness and composure were the weapons I needed to survive Vanessa's judgment. I couldn't have been more wrong. My name is Emily Parker. I'm 26 years old, and I was engaged to Lucas Bennett, the most compassionate, patient, and brilliant man I had ever met. Lucas came from wealth, real, substantial wealth, a world I'd never imagined being part of. His family owned one of the largest real estate empires in the country, and Lucas was set to inherit it someday. But I didn't care about money. I had never wanted it. I grew up in a modest home in a small town, raised by parents who loved me fiercely but had never had much to offer in terms of material wealth. I worked as a preschool teacher, a job I loved, carving out a life for myself with honesty and hard work. Lucas loved me, for who I was beneath the surface, for the woman I had worked to become, not the wealth I lacked. And for the first time in my life, I felt seen, valued, and truly understood. But Lucas's mother, Vanessa, despised me from the start. Her disdain wasn't quiet or subtle. It was woven into every glance, every word, every forced smile. She made it clear that she would never accept me, no matter how respectful or polite I tried to be. She thought I was here for the money, and it didn't matter how many times I tried to prove otherwise. At first, I tried to convince myself that it was just her way of testing me. Maybe if I was patient, maybe if I kept showing kindness and respect, she would come around. But deep down, the icy barbs she threw left bruises I could not see. Vanessa's words were like frostbite, slow and insidious. "Your dress that's charming, really," she said one afternoon at a family gathering, her lips curved in a patronizing smile. "But perhaps something a bit more refined would suit our circles better." I nodded, biting back the urge to argue. Around Lucas, Vanessa was perfect, gracious, charming, attentive. She hid the venom in her heart, and he couldn't see her other side. But when I caught her in private, her gaze felt like a scalpel. "You know, Lucas deserves someone who can handle his world," she whispered once as I tried to offer her a cup of tea. "Someone polished, someone capable. I just don't think that's you, Emily." I swallowed the lump rising in my throat, forcing a polite smile. "I'll try to do my best," I murmured, though inside I felt hollow. Lucas, of course, didn't see any of this. Around him, Vanessa was the perfect mother, full of charm and warmth. When I tried to tell him about her behavior, he brushed it off with gentle reassurance. "She just needs time, Emily. She's protective of me. That's all," he'd say, holding my hand with that steady, unwavering gaze. I wanted so desperately to believe him, so I stayed silent. But the weeks turned into months, and the tension worsened. Every attempt to plan our wedding seemed to ignite Vanessa's fury. What had been subtle digs now became accusations. One evening, she cornered me in the hallway of the Bennett mansion while Lucas was out. "You're not fooling anyone," she said, her voice low but firm. "Poor girl latches onto the first rich man who shows her attention." Classic. I stood frozen, mouth dry, unsure how to respond. My heart pounded. I wasn't after Lucas's money. I had never done anything to suggest otherwise, but Vanessa wasn't interested in truth. She had already made up her mind. At first, I thought I could endure it. Lucas and I loved each other. That was all that mattered. But as the constant tension escalated, the whispers, the manipulations, the way Vanessa tried to cast me as the villain, I began to wear down. Still, I never imagined how far her scheme would go. One night, after another confrontational interaction with Vanessa, I called my best friend, Chloe Summers. She had been my lifeline for years, the one person I could always turn to. "I don't know what to do anymore, Chloe," I said, pacing in my small apartment. Vanessa, she makes me feel like I'm some criminal for loving Lucas. It's like she's waiting for me to fail so she can say, I told you so. Chloe's voice on the other end was calm but tinged with concern. Emily, she has issues. You've done nothing wrong. If anything, you've bent over backward to be kind. It's not your fault she's stuck in her high society bubble. I sank onto my couch, rubbing my temples. It's not just the comments to me. She says things about me to Lucas.
Lies.
Twisted things, Chloe. I don't know how much longer I can take it. I love him, but it feels like I'm fighting a battle I can't win. Chloe hesitated. Have you told Lucas everything? Not really. I mean, I've mentioned little things here and there, but he brushes them off. He doesn't see her like I do when we're alone. Emily, you need to tell him, Chloe said softly. He loves you. He deserves to know what she's doing. But what if it just makes things worse? I whispered. The days that followed were grueling. Every attempt to have a serious conversation with Lucas about his mother ended in hesitation. He was juggling work, wedding plans, and his own stresses. I didn't want to burden him further. One afternoon, I met Chloe at our usual coffee shop, desperate for perspective. You really think I'm overthinking it? I asked, stirring my tea until the ceramic cup squeaked. Chloe's eyes met mine briefly. Then she looked away, distracted. Maybe, she said. Moms can be difficult sometimes. Her casual tone surprised me. You really think I'm overthinking it? She shrugged, sipping her latte. It's not like she's done anything major. Maybe she's just protective. At the time, I didn't dwell on it. I thought maybe Chloe was right. Maybe I was imagining things. But later, I'd realized this was the moment when everything began to unravel. Over the next few weeks, Chloe became increasingly distant. She began dodging my calls, responding late to texts, or not at all. When we did speak, she seemed distracted, barely listening to my concerns. At first, I tried to be understanding. Everyone has their own stuff going on, right? But deep down, it hurt. Chloe had always been my rock, the one person who had my back, and now she felt like a stranger. Meanwhile, Vanessa seemed to sense my vulnerability. Her charm around Lucas intensified, and I overheard her once, speaking to him in a quiet, persuasive tone. You deserve someone who understands our world, Lucas, she said. Someone who will build you up, not hold you back. I felt the walls closing in. For the first time, I started to feel truly alone. Then came the day Lucas mentioned Vanessa had invited us over for tea. She wants to make an effort, he said, hopeful. Maybe she's finally warming up to you. I didn't believe it. Not for a second. But for Lucas, I agreed. If there was even the smallest chance Vanessa could change, I wanted to give her the opportunity. When we arrived, the air was tense. Vanessa greeted us with her signature polite smile, but my stomach twisted in anticipation. And then I saw Chloe sitting on the couch, sipping tea like she belonged there. Emily, Chloe said, feigning surprise. What a coincidence. I was just catching up with Vanessa. I froze. You two know each other? Vanessa raised an eyebrow. We've crossed paths here and there, she said smoothly. Chloe has been very helpful lately. Always nice to have someone who truly cares about Lucas. I turned to Chloe, searching her face for an explanation, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. Instead, she shrugged and muttered, yeah, it just kinda happened. Vanessa's been supportive. The room felt impossibly small, and yet Lucas didn't notice. He leaned back in his chair, oblivious to the tension brewing around him. Vanessa, with deliberate casualness, finally spoke. Since we're all here, Chloe, why don't you tell Lucas what you told me? My heart dropped. A cold wave of panic washed over me. What are you talking about? I asked, voice tight. Chloe hesitated, her hands fidgeting. Then she glanced at Lucas, her expression grave. I saw Emily with another man, she said, voice trembling. The room went silent except for my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The words hung in the air like a guillotine, poised to fall. Chloe's voice trembled, but there was an unsettling resolve in her eyes. I saw Emily with another man. My chest tightened, my lungs threatening to collapse under the weight of disbelief. What are you saying, Chloe? My voice shook, barely above a whisper. That's not true. You know it's not true. Lucas froze, his entire body tense. His eyes, once warm and reassuring, now glimmered with confusion, hurt, and something I hadn't expected, betrayal. Emily, is this true? His voice cracked, fragile and accusing. I shook my head so violently my hair whipped across my face.
No.
It's not true. I've never done anything like that. Chloe glanced away, her hands twisting in her lap. I saw it, Lucas. I wouldn't lie. I didn't want to say anything, but you deserve the truth. My mind screamed, my heart pounding so fiercely I thought it might burst. Chloe, you're lying. Why would you say that? After everything we've shared? After everything I trusted you with? But she wouldn't meet my eyes. Her silence was a blade, cutting me deeper than any harsh word Vanessa could have thrown. Lucas's expression crumbled. How could you do this, Emily? After everything? I didn't do anything. I sobbed. I love you. I've never loved anyone else. Please believe me. His hands shook as he stepped back, putting distance between us. I can't. I can't look at you right now. And just like that, my world fell apart. I stumbled out of the Bennett mansion, tears blurring my vision. Each step away from Lucas felt like dragging my heart across broken glass. I turned to Chloe one last time, desperate for some sign that she would tell the truth. But her eyes were vacant, her face calm in a way that made my chest ache even more. She had sold me out. The days that followed were a haze of unanswered calls, unread messages, and the unbearable silence of a love that had suddenly turned into suspicion. I showed up at Lucas's apartment, hoping that perhaps face-to-face I could break through the wall of doubt. But each attempt was met with avoidance. I could hear movement inside, footsteps, muffled laughter, but he never came to the door. I was powerless, watching the man I loved spiral further into hurt and confusion. Meanwhile, updates from mutual friends and colleagues painted a terrifying picture. Lucas had stopped going to work regularly. He missed meetings with clients, skipped recovery sessions he'd once clung to, and began spending time in the city's dangerous quarters. The confident, intelligent man I had fallen in love with was disappearing, replaced by a shell haunted by doubt and betrayal. I felt like a ghost in my own life, unable to intervene, unable to reach him. Then, late one evening, there was a knock at my apartment door. My heart jumped. I wasn't expecting anyone, and a shiver of apprehension ran through me. I opened the door, and my jaw dropped. Vanessa Bennett stood there, looking completely unlike the composed, icy matriarch I knew. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes red and puffy, and she trembled as though she had run through a storm. "Emily," she said, her voice breaking, "please, I need your help." I stared at her, my emotions a chaotic mix of disbelief and fury. "Vanessa, why are you here?" I demanded, my voice sharp. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, wringing her hands as though holding herself together by sheer force of will. "It's Lucas," she said, her voice cracking. He's falling apart. He's using again and I don't know what to do." I folded my arms, bitterness bubbling in my chest. "Vanessa, you made it very clear what you think of me." She sank into the nearest chair, her tears fresh. I was wrong," she whispered. "About everything. I thought I was protecting him, but all I've done is destroy him. And you," she buried her face in her hands. "I've hurt you both so much." I stayed silent, my mind reeling. The woman who had spent months undermining my every step, tearing me down and manipulating Lucas, was now admitting fault. Vanessa looked up, eyes pleading. "I lied about everything. The affair. Chloe, it was all me. I made it up. I thought if Lucas believed it, he'd end things with you, he'd find someone I approved of. I see now how wrong I was. You've been nothing but good to him, Emily." My chest tightened with a mix of anger, disbelief, and lingering love. "You didn't just hurt me, Vanessa, You destroyed him. Look at what you've made him become. Her sobs grew louder as she clasped her trembling hands together. I know. I can undo it, but please, please help him. He still talks about you, even in his worst moments. He's lost, Emily. You're the only one who can save him. For a moment, I froze, torn between rage and the undeniable truth in her words. Vanessa's hands trembled as she reached out, almost desperately, as though trying to hold onto some hope through me. You gave him hope, she whispered. Without you, he's spiraling. Please, I'll do anything to make it right. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions inside me. Her words hung in the air, tempting me to walk away, to leave both her and Lucas to the consequences of their actions. And yet, when it came to Lucas, I could not. I'll help, I said quietly, my voice trembling. But I'm not doing this for you, Vanessa. I'm doing this for him. I love him, and I always have. What you did, it's unforgivable. She nodded, tears streaking down her face. I know, Emily. I know. I'll tell him the truth. I'll admit everything. Just please help me bring him back. The next morning, Vanessa picked me up. The ride was tense, the silence punctuated only by the occasional sigh or tightening of her hands on the steering wheel. I sat stiffly, my stomach in knots. My mind raced with the questions. Would Lucas believe me? Could I undo the damage Chloe and Vanessa had done? Would he ever trust me again? When we arrived at his apartment, Vanessa's hand shook as she knocked. For a moment, it felt as though Lucas wouldn't answer. And then, the lock clicked, and the door creaked open. Lucas stood there, hollow-eyed and pale, his face lined with exhaustion and despair. He looked worse than I had ever seen him, and it tore through me. What do you want? His voice was sharp, defensive, his body angled to block us from entering. Vanessa stepped forward, her voice trembling. Lucas, I lied. About Emily. About Chloe.
It was all me.
I thought I was protecting you, but I was wrong. So wrong. His face contorted in disbelief. You paid Chloe? You lied about Emily cheating on me? Vanessa's sobs turned into a full cry, tears streaming down her face.
Yes.
I was blind, Lucas. I didn't see what she meant to you. What you meant to each other.
Please forgive me. Please believe me now.
She's the only one who can help you find your way back. Lucas stepped back, shaking his head, trying to make sense of everything. His gaze fell on me, searching, questioning. Emily, is this true? I nodded slowly, tears streaming.
Yes.
It's all true. I never lied to you. I never stopped loving you. For a long moment, he stared, silence stretching between us like a fragile bridge. Then, slowly, the corners of his mouth curved into a small, tentative smile. You are telling the truth, he whispered, voice thick with emotion. You never lied. You never gave up on me. I stepped forward, heart aching, and let myself fall into his arms. His body trembled against mine, the weight of the past weeks dissolving, if only slightly, in the warmth of our reunion. I'm so sorry, he murmured, lips brushing against my temple. I should have believed you. I should have fought for us. Through my tears, I smiled softly. We're here now. That's what matters. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, we kissed. Tender, tentative, full of the promise that we would rebuild, not as if the past weeks hadn't happened, but stronger because we had survived them. The moment Lucas and I embraced, a fragile bridge between us began to form, but I knew it wouldn't last if we didn't confront the damage that Vanessa and Chloe had caused. I had promised to help him, but the path ahead was steep and full of uncertainty. The man I loved was broken, and healing would take more than words. It would take patience, trust, and determination. We spent the first few hours just holding onto each other in his apartment, letting the silence fill the gaps that words couldn't bridge. Every small tremor of his hands, every shudder in his breath, made me ache inside. He was fragile, like glass that had been cracked in too many places. I didn't flinch. I didn't pull away. I stayed, because staying was what love demanded now. Finally, Lucas pulled back slightly, brushing the damp strands of hair from my face. His eyes, red-rimmed but softening, met mine. I don't know how to start over, he admitted, his voice trembling. I feel like I've been living a lie, like everything I believed in, everything I trusted shattered overnight. You're not alone, I whispered. I'm here. I've never left you, Lucas. Not in my heart. We're going to get through this together. He swallowed hard, nodding, and leaned back into the couch. I don't even know where to start. Work, friends, my recovery, everything feels like it's falling apart. Then we start small, I said.
Step by step.
We don't fix everything at once. First you, then the rest of the world can wait. The first challenge was Chloe. Her betrayal cut deeper than anything Vanessa had done because it came from someone I trusted implicitly. I couldn't move forward with Lucas until I understood why she had done it, and perhaps until she knew the consequences of her actions. I sent her a message, meet me. We need to talk.
Now.
She replied reluctantly, agreeing to meet at a quiet cafe downtown. When I arrived, Chloe was already there, staring nervously at the floor. Her hands clutched her coffee cup like it was a lifeline. I sat across from her, folding my arms. Why, Chloe? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Why would you lie to Lucas about me? About us? Her eyes filled with tears, and for a moment, I thought I saw guilt flicker there. Emily. I didn't know what else to do. Vanessa, she made it seem like it was the only way to protect him. I didn't think about what it would do to you. I thought I was helping. Helping. I laughed bitterly, though it came out as a shuddering sob. You destroyed everything, Chloe. You destroyed my relationship. You destroyed Lucas. Do you have any idea what it felt like to be accused of something I never did by the person I trusted most? She flinched at my words. I do. I see that now. And I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I got scared. I thought I was protecting him. Protecting him? I repeated, my voice rising. You didn't protect anyone. You betrayed me, Chloe. You betrayed me for money, for loyalty to Vanessa, for what? For nothing. Her face crumpled, and she finally met my gaze. I was wrong. I can't take it back. I wish I could. I exhaled slowly, trying to calm the fire in my chest. You can't, but you need to understand the damage you've caused. Lucas nearly lost himself because of you, because of the lies you spread. I know, she whispered, voice trembling. And I'll do whatever I can to fix it. I'll tell him the truth. I'll admit everything. Her words brought a measure of relief, but I wasn't ready to forgive her, not yet. You need to be ready to face him and the consequences. Then maybe we can all start to fix this. But it will take time. And it won't be easy. With Chloe confronted, I turned my focus entirely to Lucas. I couldn't force him to heal, but I could support him. I stayed with him in his apartment for days, bringing meals, helping him to attend his missed recovery meetings, and most importantly, just being present. The quiet moments were often the hardest, the ones where we didn't speak and the silence was deafening. One afternoon, I suggested we take a walk. Fresh air will help, I said softly. He agreed reluctantly, leaning heavily on my arm as we stepped outside. The sun was high, casting sharp shadows across the streets, but it didn't feel oppressive. It felt safe. We walked through the neighborhood, our steps slow, deliberate. Lucas was hesitant at first, his eyes scanning every passerby, as though expecting betrayal to lurk around every corner. I could see the remnants of his paranoia, the scars left by Chloe and Vanessa's lies. I feel numb, he admitted, breaking the silence. Like the life I knew has been rewritten, and I don't even recognize it anymore. You're allowed to feel that, I said. But don't let it define you. We're going to rebuild it, piece by piece. And I'll be here for every single one of them. He looked at me, a faint glimmer of hope in his eyes. Emily, I'm so sorry. For doubting you. For letting it get this far. I should have fought for you, for us. You're here now, I said, taking his hand in mine. That's what matters. The past, we can't change it. But the future? We can shape it together. It wasn't easy. Lucas had relapsed slightly in the first week, an alarming wake-up call, but he allowed me to guide him gently back to the path of recovery. Every small victory was a battle won. Attending a recovery meeting, reconnecting with old friends who had supported him, answering a work email he had been avoiding for weeks. Vanessa, too, had changed. The woman who once wielded ice and intimidation now sought to make amends. She called regularly, checking in on Lucas's progress, bringing meals, and even apologizing to me again in private. I remained wary. Trust, once broken, is not easily mended, but I acknowledged her efforts. And then there was the confrontation I had to prepare for, Vanessa's face-to-face admission to Lucas. I knew it would be painful, but it was necessary for him to reclaim his life fully. One evening, we arranged for Vanessa to come over. Lucas sat tensely on the couch, his fingers intertwined, eyes darting between me and the door. When she arrived, she looked nervous, almost afraid. "Lucas, I need you to hear me," she said, her voice trembling. "I lied. About Emily. About Chloe. It was all me. I thought I was protecting you, but I was wrong." His face hardened. "You lied. You deliberately tried to ruin the one person I loved most." "I know," she cried. "I see now how blind I was. I hurt you. I hurt Emily. I regret it more than I can express. Please forgive me. And please, let Emily help you rebuild." Lucas's gaze fell on me. "Emily, is this true?" I nodded, taking his hand.
Yes.
"It's all true. I never lied to you, Lucas. Never." For a long moment, he looked at us both, weighing the truth, feeling the weight of betrayal and love simultaneously. Then slowly he exhaled. I need time," he said. "But we'll get through this. Together." It wasn't a complete resolution, but it was a start. A fragile, tender start. Over the following weeks, Lucas's life began to stabilize. He returned to work, cautiously at first, and gradually rebuilt relationships that had been strained. Our connection deepened as we navigated the delicate process of trust and forgiveness. Every small step forward was a victory. Vanessa's presence remained a complicated factor. She worked hard to regain my trust, showing vulnerability and remorse I had never expected from her. I didn't forgive her fully, but I acknowledged her efforts, because Lucas's recovery depended on the toxic patterns being broken. Chloe, too, made amends, coming forward to apologize to Lucas, recounting the truth in full. Watching him process her admission was difficult, but necessary. The truth, finally revealed, began to cleanse the lingering shadows of doubt. The road ahead was far from easy, but for the first time in weeks, I felt the possibility of healing, of reclaiming the life and love that had been threatened by lies and betrayal. Lucas and I had faced the worst, and we were beginning to emerge stronger, more united, and more determined to protect what mattered most, each other. The days that followed were a delicate dance between progress and fragility. Lucas was slowly reclaiming himself, attending recovery meetings, reconnecting with work, and cautiously rebuilding friendships he had neglected during his spiral. Each day, I reminded myself that healing was not linear, and every small victory counted. Vanessa had continued to prove that her remorse was genuine. She showed up with lunches, helped coordinate Lucas's meetings, and even attended therapy sessions with him, offering support without overstepping. It was strange seeing her so vulnerable. The woman who had once wielded control like a weapon was now humbled by her own mistakes. One afternoon, Lucas and I decided to take a drive outside the city. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of autumn leaves. It felt like a temporary escape from the tension of the past weeks. "I never realized how much I'd taken for granted," Lucas admitted quietly, staring out the window. "The trust the people around me. I thought I had control, but I didn't see how fragile it all was." "You're learning now," I said, squeezing his hand gently. "And you're stronger for it. We've both been through a lot, but look at how far we've come." He turned to me, eyes soft but reflective. "Emily, I'm so sorry for doubting you. I can't imagine what it felt like to have my best friend betray you, to be painted as someone I never thought you were. I shook my head, tears threatening to spill.
It hurt, yes.
But we can't change the past. We can only shape the future. And I want to do that with you. He smiled faintly, and it was the first time in weeks that the weight of despair seemed to lift, even slightly. I want that too, he said. I want us fully, without fear, without doubt. The next challenge came when Chloe approached me, requesting another meeting. She wanted to apologize to Lucas personally, to face the consequences of her actions directly. I was hesitant, but I knew confronting the truth head-on was necessary for closure. At the cafe, Chloe sat nervously, hands clasped together. "Emily, I'm so sorry," she said, voice low and trembling. "I've caused so much damage. I don't expect forgiveness, but I had to face it." "You've faced it," I said, eyes locked on hers. "Now it's about making amends. You'll need to explain everything to Lucas and accept the consequences of your actions. Only then can healing begin." She nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand. Thank you for giving me a chance to do this right." When Lucas finally met with Chloe, I stayed close, offering support from a distance. The confrontation was painful, tears were shed, harsh words exchanged, but the truth ultimately prevailed. Lucas listened, saw the remorse, and though the trust would take time to rebuild, the foundation for healing was laid. With Chloe's betrayal addressed and Vanessa's remorse ongoing, Lucas and I began to focus on our own life, our own relationship. We created small rituals to rebuild our trust, weekly walks, cooking together, attending therapy sessions, and slowly integrating our social lives again. Each day, the bond grew stronger, fortified by the trials we had endured. One evening, after a particularly emotional therapy session, Lucas turned to me with a smile that made my heart swell. "Emily, I've realized something. I don't want to just recover. I want to live. Fully with you. No more holding back." Tears welled up, and I nodded. "I feel the same way. We've been through so much, but we can move forward, together, without fear." We started planning small celebrations, dinners with friends, outings to places we loved, and slowly reintegrating joy into our lives. Vanessa continued to prove she had changed, offering guidance without control, her presence a reminder of lessons learned and humility gained. Months passed, and Lucas's recovery stabilized. His work returned to normal. He reconnected with friends he had lost, and most importantly, he was finding peace within himself. Our relationship flourished, built on a foundation of trust that had survived the ultimate test. One crisp evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Lucas took my hand in his. "Emily," he said softly, eyes shining with emotion, "I don't want to waste another day. You've been my anchor through everything. Will you marry me?" Tears blurred my vision as I nodded, words failing me. Yes, Lucas. Of course." We embraced, letting the warmth of our love dissolve the scars of the past. It wasn't a fairy tale, free from pain or betrayal, but it was real. It was ours. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly hopeful for the future. Looking back, I realized that love isn't easy. It's messy, painful, and often tested in ways you never expect. But true love endures. It fights for survival, it forgives, and it grows stronger through adversity. Lucas and I had faced manipulation, lies, betrayal, and heartbreak, and we had survived. The journey ahead wouldn't be without challenges. Trust had to be continually nurtured, wounds had to be carefully tended, and the lessons of the past had to be remembered. But for Lucas and me, every obstacle we had faced became a testament to the strength of our bond. Vanessa and Chloe, though no longer central to our daily lives, remained part of our story. A reminder that people can change, that remorse can be genuine, and that even the deepest wounds can begin to heal with honesty and courage. As I looked at Lucas, his hand warm in mine, his eyes reflecting love, vulnerability, and resilience, I knew we were ready. ready to face the world together, stronger than before, carrying the lessons of the past not as burdens, but as proof of our endurance. For the first time in months, I slept without fear, without tears, and without the constant ache of uncertainty. The future was ours, and we would meet it side by side, hearts intertwined, committed to building a life filled with trust, love, and hope. And as the stars began to the night sky, I whispered a silent promise to myself. No matter what came next, I would fight for this love, for Lucas, and for the life we had earned through courage, patience, and unwavering faith in each other. Because this wasn't just a story of heartbreak, it was a story of resilience, redemption, and the enduring power of love.